Hi, welcome back to Simply Freedom. My name's Carrie, and today I'm going to talk to you and brainstorm with you on what should be included in your Christmas budget. Let's talk about what should be in a Christmas budget. I will be honest with you up front that our Christmas budget, when I say our budget is $600 for 9 people, that primarily includes gifts, stocking stuffers, postage to mail a couple packages. Part of the reason I don't have other things included in my Christmas budget is because they simply do not apply to me. So we are going to brainstorm a little bit about things that you might have to spend money on during the Christmas or December holiday season. Of course, top on the list for everybody who is participating in Christmas or any other holiday gift giving are the gifts. And so it's very important to know exactly who you'll be giving gifts to. You need to include your immediate family, include yourself if you're buying yourself a gift or somebody's going to, in your household, is going to be buying a gift for you. Include extended family if you exchange with those individuals. Do you exchange with neighbors? Do you give gifts to service people? Do you give gifts to your boss or your co-workers? Do you have other gatherings where gifts are expected? Maybe there's a friend gathering of some sort, between you and your girlfriends, or your husband or boyfriend, or somebody goes somewhere and does another activity. Include money to cover those expenses that are not normal at other times of the year. So really brainstorm. Of course, if you're trying to trim your budget, you're going to want to eliminate some of that, and I've done another video on that. We're just going to keep brainstorming places where you might possibly be spending money in the holiday season. Wrapping paper, of course, tissue, gift bags, boxes, tape, bows, ribbon, little tags. Maybe you also put baking supplies inside containers or bags or plates. You would need to have mailing cost. You may have cost to actually ship gifts to someone else in another part of the country. You may have postage for photo cards or other types of cards that you may be mailing this time of year. You may have mailing supplies that you need. You may need to actually buy a box to put your item in, especially if it's an odd shape or size. You can get free boxes at the United States Postal Service if you're shipping priority mail, and it's a flat rate, so you know exactly how much that size box will cost. But even if you got the box, you do need mailing tape to seal it up. So that's another cost that if you don't already have mailing tape on hand, may sneak up on you as something you need to buy. If you're dressing up at all during the season, particularly if you have children who may have changed sizes from the year before, you may need to buy new clothes for your holiday pictures or any dressing up activities that you need to do. Maybe you're not dressing up, maybe you just need something a little bit nicer to wear to any holiday activities that you're going to. So make sure to budget for any potential clothing that you need during the season. You may want to include in your holiday budget the cost of the photographer. Now, it may be somebody you know, maybe you simply give them a few dollars, or you buy them some sort of gift in exchange for their service, but even if you go to a professional, there's going to be some cost involved in hiring a photographer. Are you baking during the season? You'll need to buy and budget for flour, sugar, eggs, all the ingredients that might possibly go into those holiday baked goods that you're going to put together during the season. You may also find yourself buying additional candy items during the season. Maybe you put candy into stocking stuffers or as stocking stuffers. Maybe it's something you tend to hand out to neighbors. You need to make sure that you're including the cost of candy. It's kind of one of those things that sometimes you see it in the store and you pick it up and throw it in your cart, and then you use it later, but you want to make sure that it's included in your budget. When you're baking goods, you also, and I kind of alluded to this before, you need something to put them on or in order to give them to the gift recipient. It could be a tin, it could be a glass jar, it could be a paper plate with foil over it or plastic wrap. Some people buy little bags to put their cookies in. Could even be the containers, plastic containers that are holiday branded with snowflakes or something festive on them. That is potentially another purchase if you are giving away gifts that you need to remember to put into your budget. Do you go visit Santa? Some people take their children to go visit Santa in the mall and have a picture taken. There's a cost involved there. Don't forget to include any sort of events like that, maybe you go to a play every year, include the tickets for those events. Even if you reuse decorations, occasionally, sometimes you'll still have to buy something new. This year we found ourselves, because we're in a new home, buying more extension cords, a new timer because the old one had gone out, and sometimes you even have to buy new lights if they go out. They don't go out quite as much as they once did because of the LED, so at a minimum you may have just a few dollars worth of cost. Do you buy a tree every year? Is there a new item that you want to buy this year that you need to budget for? So even decorating is something to include in your budget. Definitely include stocking stuffers. I was really bad at this for a really long time, partly because I would make my budget, buy the gifts based on, a dollar amount for each person, and then of course at the last minute I'm like, oh, I have to go get the stocking stuffers. That's easily, for 2 of my children, was $30, and I was never including that in my Christmas budget. Now I do about $20 per stocking in my Christmas budget. Do you actually have to buy cards or buy photo cards online, and how much do those cost you and for how many people? And of course the postage to mail those. And some people do more extravagant kinds of mailings. I don't know what else would be included, but if there's additional inserts or something like that, or if you have to buy specialized envelopes, then you want to include that in your budget. Donations to charity. Are you especially generous this time of year? Do you remembering that you always send $200 to a charity? If so, that is part of your Christmas budget. If you are hosting Christmas, there is definitely a cost in that, and my guess is if you have hosted ever before, you are fully aware that it can be quite expensive to host a party or Christmas Day, simply because of the amount of food that you have to buy. If you're buying beverages, alcohol, you need to make sure you have toilet paper, soap, those kinds of things on hand. If you're preparing things in the kitchen, you may need to-go containers, plates, things for people to take food with them. You may need the plates if you're using disposable ware. You may need to buy all the paper goods in order to put the meal on. Sometimes some people include a cleaning service, and so that would be another thing that you would want to remember to include in your Christmas budget if that is something that you include each year. Another thing is I'm thinking about, again, this is mostly just brainstorming. Another thing I'm just thinking about is that you might even want to include the cost to have haircuts. If you're going to have photos taken, or you want to look your best on Christmas Day, you're possibly going to get your hair cut or colored or permed. There's one final thing that I'm thinking of too that doesn't apply to everyone, but it can apply to quite a few people, is that some of us travel at the Christmas time. Budget for airline tickets, a potential rental car, the fuel for traveling, hotels. Even if you're somewhat local and just driving a couple hours away, there's fuel cost involved. The one thing I even noticed when we would travel a couple hours by car to our family is that we would stop. We would stop along the way, and we would pick something up from the convenience store, and you have 4 people in the car and they all need a drink and a snack. That adds up pretty quick, and not that it can derail your entire budget, but it's nice to know that, okay, we're probably going to stop, or we're going to need dinner or lunch or something along the way, so add that cost in as well. Or, one way to reduce that would be to take snacks and things along that you already have at home. Another thing, if you're traveling, you may need to board your pet or pay a pet sitter. Again, these are brainstorming things of possible things that you may be spending every year anyway, and in order to really fully understand how much you're spending, you kind of have to look at all the different places we could possibly spend in December that are somewhat holiday related, and it's possible to sometimes go back to the year prior and look at your bank statements or credit card statements and see all the different places that you spent money. It's hard to tell exactly what you bought it, but it might trigger a realization of what you did spend money on. And I think when we start realizing how many things that are there that we could potentially spend money on during the holiday season, it's almost an explanation of why so many people go into debt. And January, coming up very soon after we're finished with this year, is a really great time to start budgeting. And if you know what you spend in the holiday season, then you can start making a budget so that you don't go into debt next holiday season. So, having listened to my whole list, I'm curious, what items did I mention in our brainstorm of all possible holiday expenses was surprising to you? And is it something that you normally spend money on in the Christmas season and you hadn't thought about budgeting? I'd be curious to know. So let me know down in the comments. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe.